Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to yet another new edition of the Immersive Series. My name is Karan Kamal, co-founder of Future Factor 360 and the moderator for the session this morning. Today's session is titled Learning from the Success Journeys of Innovation Pioneers. This is a part 2 of the session that we had yesterday. Yesterday, we had a very interesting lineup of speakers from Collins Aerospace, amongst many others. Today, again, we have a very interesting and an illustrious lineup of speakers from KPIT, LNT Technology Services, and from Tech Mahindra. Our objective of this session is to showcase the innovations of the winners of the NASSCOM Quarterly Awards, also called the Spotlight Awards, understand their challenges, best practices in bringing some of these innovations to life. So without much ado, let's get started with the introductions of the speakers. First up, we have Tejas Kshatriya from KPIT. Tejas, if you could quickly introduce yourself.
Great. Thank you, Karan. Yeah. Hi, friends. So just imagine you have conceived a perfect idea for the future, right? Done thorough research, secured funding, put your best efforts, but the business fails. It's a scenario we have all encountered, yeah, where the timing was not correct. The market was not ready to embrace our innovation, yeah. But such setbacks are often seeds for the future success. So I'm very happy to share our learnings and experience with you today. My name is Tejas Kshatriya. Proud to be part of KPIT, a company that nurtures innovation culture. I've been with KPIT for past 2 decades. I'm leading innovation in alternate fuel technologies for past 14 years, a field that is at the forefront for sustainable advancements. I look forward to having very engaging, insightful discussions today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tejas. Great to have you as a part of today's discussion. Next up is Jaisima Chalasani from Tech Mahindra.
Hi, everyone. I'm part of Tech Mahindra's engineering services business. Been part of the ER&D space for the last 22 years, mostly through Tech Mahindra, driving new product introductions, cost productivity solutions, and also the digitalization for global businesses. Very happy to share some of the interesting journey we had in the last year, and especially focusing on the how digitalization has permeated into every part of the industries and products, and hope to that it would be the insights would be very useful for you. Looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much, Jaisima. And finally, we have Shrikant from LNT Technology Services. Shrikant, if you could introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Karan. Good morning, everyone. Myself, Shrikant, and I am with LNT Group of Companies close to 20 plus years. Started my career in LNT Medical. We used to design medical products. That's why we come with a product engineering background, a vast experience designing diagnostic and therapeutic products. And today what I'm going to talk is linked to the patient safety and how it is going to the product. What LNT has come up is how it's going to help a patient and operator safety more enhanced. And presently I manage the diagnostic as a portfolio within LNT Technology Services. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shrikant. So let's get started with today's discussion with an audience poll, because this will help us gauge the pulse of what are you looking at from the perspective of innovation? So Avinash, if we could bring up the poll quickly and have the audience share their thoughts. We have a couple of questions. So many of you who participated yesterday in the session, the questions are similar, but today's session is more focused on ER&D service providers. So we are actually trying to also we have a new set of audience today, and we're trying to gauge the pulse of today's audience too. So first question is, how big a priority is innovation in the context of your organization? Second up is, what kind of innovation is your organization focused on? Are you largely looking at product or process innovation? And finally, what is the current focus of innovation? Are you looking at something disruptive, incremental, or both? So let's give ourselves 30 seconds and we can have Avinash flash up the results of the poll. Okay, wonderful. So a staggering majority believe that innovation is a priority. And I see that product innovation is something of focus, not very different. The results of this two questions is not very different from what we saw yesterday. And of course, the focus being a combination of disruptive, incremental. So thank you so much, audience, for sharing your questions. So let's begin our discussion today. Tejas, first question to you. You know, you've been working on something which is cutting edge and which makes a huge difference from a sustainability perspective. Can you tell us a little more about what was the genesis of this innovation? Because again, when you look at something like an automotive segment, sustainability is becoming a key focus. So what were the drivers of this innovation? What were the objectives? Was it something that came as a request from the customer? Or was it something that KPIT ideated on its own as a way to maybe differentiate itself amongst the other service providers, or for that matter, you know, create a proof of value to customers? So just wanted to understand your perspectives on what the genesis of this innovation was.
Right. So, see, the innovation is about, we have developed a very efficient hydrogen fuel cell system along with electric powertrain to achieve zero emission for automotive and commercial vehicles. We do a lot of work in the automotive space. Now, we had been working on vehicle electrification since 2009. And in one of the brainstorming sessions, we realized that though battery electric vehicle technologies is fantastic, is excellent, but it is more suitable for limited distance city driving conditions. Yeah. When it comes to commercial vehicles, where the payload is important, when it comes to long distance travels in a day, battery electric vehicles have challenges. The weight of the battery you need to carry, you need to trade off with the payload of the vehicle. So that's where we started thinking that what are the possible solutions for long distance commercial vehicles or public transport vehicles. Hydrogen as a fuel is extremely promising. Zero emission, the output is only byproduct is only water. But there are several challenges associated with handling hydrogen, transportation, using hydrogen as a fuel in a combustion engine, cost of the hydrogen. So these are the challenges. But you know, hydrogen and oxygen from the air can be combined to generate electricity, which is nothing but a hydrogen fuel cell. Now, if you build a hydrogen fuel cell, it can be coupled with the electric powertrain, and you can get a very efficient zero emission powertrain for a vehicle. And just to give an example, let's assume a 16-ton bus or a 16-ton truck. In order to travel 400 kilometers of range, you will need 3.2 tons of battery pack. That's a huge weight. You will have to trade off the payload, right? It's a dead weight. Instead of that, if you use hydrogen as a fuel, you just need 25 kilograms of hydrogen to run 400 kilometers, plus some weight to carry the hydrogen, which could be around 300 kilograms. So there's a significant reduction in the dead weight, no trade-off on the payload. So this seemed to be a very good combination, hydrogen fuel cell coupled with the electric powertrain, to come up with a solution for a commercial or long distance vehicles. So that was the starting point of this hydrogen fuel cell technology that we started working on.
Wonderful, Tejas. You know, as we go through this conversation today, we will try and understand more details. Let me move on to Shrikant. Shrikant, can you highlight a little more about the genesis of the innovation that you're going to be talking about today? again, what were the objectives? How did it all?
Yeah, sure, Karan. As I conveyed, LNT Technology Services, we are focused on product engineering, and we have around close to 40 years of medical experience. So what it means is when we design the product, right, we take care of how the product has to be safe to a patient. In terms of leakage current, right? We ensure that the product, the current from the product to the patient and patient to the product should have the safety. So, but think about the environment where patient is in a operation theater and multiple wire is running, right? You have seen ventilator is connected, vitals are monitored and thing. There may be chances that any conductor coming into contact, right? Either to the wire has been torn or anything conductor coming to contact of a patient, there will be a leakage current which will be flowing through a patient, which can't be detected by the product directly because product is taken care from the safety aspect 6060-1. But when it comes to the patient leakage current, there is no way we can able to detect. And that will also have an example if a patient is in a chronic illness, a microampere of current flowing continuously on him will also create a lot of adverse effect on his health. So keeping that in the context, we designed the automated recovery electric breaker circuit, which is a combination of MCB and ELCB. And the thought process of this is this circuit is going to be fit in the medical product, which is going to monitor the leakage current, ensure the environment is safe for a patient and the operator. So it is mainly focused initially for the medical product point of view. Karan, you're on mute.
Thank you so much, Shrikant. Now, moving on to you, Jaisimha. Maybe your thoughts on the genesis of the innovation that Tech Mahindra came up with.
Yeah, so this is an interesting business, Karan. We actually co-create and co-innovate with customers a lot. Being in engineering services, right? And this particular customer is in the consumer space, and where this technology adaptation is very fast, and this lifespan of the product is also extremely, small window, right? We need to be faster to the market. So they actually wanted to have a new line of product into the cooking line of product, and so they wanted to get into a small appliance space. And when they want to enter the market, they actually want need to have a first to world or first to market kind of product, right, to differentiate themselves. So that's the business idea. And Tech Mahindra has been doing this for the last 25 years with many customers. So we have a strong relationship where we understand their customer and end customers a little bit more closely. So when this problem was discussed with their product management team, so what we understood is we did a little bit of study of who is their competition, some benchmarking, and we realized that there is no digital permutation or penetration into these products. So the products are still old and a little bit dated, and for the current generation, which is a lot more they're digitalized, who uses apps and do multitasking and probably leverage the assistants and digital assistants and AI. The products were not tuned to it. So that's the white space we saw in the market, and that's the genesis of the idea to come up with a smart mixer to do assisted cooking for the Gen X. So it's an interesting thought. It took some time to find this white space, but that's where we co-created this whole product along with the customer.
Wonderful, Jaisimha. So moving on to Thesis again. How did you embark on this journey? While of course there was a business case identified in terms of the kind of the weight savings that happen, etc. How did you go about putting together an innovation team that would drive this initiative, right? So what were the challenges also that you faced in embarking on this kind of an innovation?
Hydrogen fuel cell technology, we narrowed down on developing a hydrogen fuel cell technology to be coupled with the electric powertrain. So that seemed to be the right direction. So we decided that we work on this technology. But hydrogen fuel cell technology is complex, needs multiple disciplines like electrochemistry, you need mechanical engineering, thermal management, controls, electronics, electricals. And we took up the challenge to design and develop hydrogen fuel cell for automotive application. Fuel cell for an automotive application, it further increases the level of challenges considering the harsh environment, vibrations, noise, humidity, those kind of things. So what we did is we had this idea, but in order to get a head start, we collaborated with CSIR labs, National Chemical Laboratories, and Central Chemical Electrochemical Research Institute in Kraikudi. And we went to CSIR in Mitli. In Mitli is a new Millennium Indian Technology Leadership Initiative by DSD under CSIR to sponsor this project. And in 2016, we actually started working on developing automotive fuel cells. And globally, fuel cells were at a very early stage of development. Yeah. So obviously, the engineers and the scientists that we were looking for with prior experience in fuel cell were not available. Yeah. So there was no ready team. We did not have ready resources. Yeah. But we have been always looking out. We have been working on electric powertrain since 2009, 29. And we have been looking for smart students from engineering and science streams who are passionate and have demonstrated their passion by doing something, by some tinkering. So we get these students from colleges and universities, and we also run some of the other programs which attract talent. For example, and I'll spend some time on it a little later subsequently. We have programs such as Sparkle, Innovation Context. We have programs like Shodh, which are for international PhD students, where we try to get bright students. We participate, we monitor events like Baha, SAE, paper presentations, conference. So we try to look at students who are doing something very different and try to get them on board, train them, because new technology will never get ready resources. Yeah. And the students find our environment very stimulating and encouraging to learn and apply their skills to solve real world problems. Yeah. So, we are able to provide a good, I would say, good work environment to the students. So like Steve Jobs mentioned once, right? If you are working on something exciting, you don't have to be pushed. Yeah, the vision pulls you. And most of the SMEs that we have today have joined us as freshers, maybe 10 years back, 8 years back.
Well, that's very interesting, Tejas. In terms of how you've been able to build the competency and capacity to drive something as complex as this, which involves, learnings from multiple domains. So, Jaisima, I'll move on to you. From your perspective, how did you get started with the journey, right? You did mention about the fact that you did the benchmarks, you did the market analysis, etc. But what else from getting started? Were there challenges in actually convincing the customer about the innovation? Were there challenges in terms of really talking about the technical capabilities of Tech Mahindra to be able to deliver on something like this? Or were there also challenges in putting together the right kind of team? So what were the challenges that you had in terms of embarking on this journey for delivering this innovation to your customer?
Yeah, an interesting question, Karan. So if I have to, so this product, if you see, right, it's an consumer product. So it's basically needs to sell by experience, right? So today there are two things that drive, the products in this space: the speed to market and the experience, which consumers perceive. And the taste of consumers change very, very fast. So there is so you have to marry the traditional mechanical, mechatronics, and electrical design, and bring in the latest of the sensors, which are extremely what you call, small in footprint, right? So we have that ability today. So the traditional, core engineering, people understanding the latest advancements in the, the sensors and the technologies and how that can be integrated into a product that looks very nice, intuitive, and, physically appealing. And when I say physically appealing, the old school is all about, a product, it's all about surfaces, curvatures, but now it is also about, there is always an UI, you have an interface, and the color, as the machine operates, you have lighting that actually tells. So there is a design language that needs to be coming in, and it is a lot more, in digital engineering you call it as UXM and other things, right? So it permeates into the traditional engineering. So that's the challenge for us, is actually finding, the bridging this, right, seamlessly merging them and delivering at speed. So we created some squads, and we created this, based on the things, and create an integration. We created a technology, design, thing along with customer who will review, and we adapted an, agile way of, failing fast. So that's what it is. The biggest challenge, but getting the core engineering, the advancements in sensor technologies, embedding them mechanically, physically into a hardware, and still bringing the, the user experience so that the product stands differentiated and involves the Gen X, which it has been targeted for. So that's the team building was a very unique experience we have, taken up, because, you need to bring in some of the fresh, the way they have explained, from the colleges who are a lot more digital native, I should say, from the engineering perspective, to the, experienced engineers who understands the product safety, product reliability, thinking through the, failure modes, and start making it robust enough so that it doesn't create an, adverse impact when the product gets into the market. So that's the right blend of, experience. The team selection is where I think, we spent extra time upfront so that we had a successful.
Sure. Shrikant, over to you. So maybe your thoughts on how you embarked on this journey of the innovation that you built.
So, Karan, when we design a medical product, the patient safety and patient comfort is highest priority. Keeping that in mind, right, as LNT, we have a collaboration with academia, we have a collaboration with the hospitals and the group of doctors, where we start exploring the idea, right, why most of the death happens due to the leakage current, and it is unnoticed. And today, milliampere of current is good enough to kill a person and continuous flowing through a person. Actually, a baby, in the recent article, some 1 month back in Karnataka, a baby died when the charger was on, and baby kept the charger inside the mouth, and the insulation was not good enough, and the baby died, not able to save the baby because of the leakage current flowing continuously. So keeping all this in the context, right, we were trying to explore what can we do different, which is already there in the market, and how we can enhance the patient safety point of view. That is where this idea came into picture, with discussing with the doctors and the hospital, the biomedical engineers. And then we thought there is an option that we can start monitoring the microampere of current, which is flowing unnoticedly in the operation theater or the post-recovery room. The key challenges when we came up with this idea, we also need to see that what type of team is required to do this, right? And then we formed the team based on the need, like who can understand the medical standards, who can come with the medical domain, also understand how to handle the leakage currents, play with the microampere currents and all. So we formed the team accordingly. And the main key critical challenge what we face is the selection of the components and proving the concept. Because we tried this, once we made the POC, we also tried to do some experiment within in-house, and we also tried to see that in the actual environment how it behaves. Because the turning on and turning off the circuit is very important, because it should not happen a person is in ventilator and the machine to get turned off, the circuit breaker turned off and it never turned on. So the person should not get adverse effect. So critical challenge is how we are going to do the timing so that we detect the leakage, we turn off the line, again we solve the problem and turn on. Right? That is where it is quite challenging as a team. And I'm pretty proud that the POC has come very good and we are able to deploy in few of the hospitals.
Wonderful, Shrikant. So,
Karan, so one interesting story I would like to share. So,
Sure.
when we were working on this hydrogen fuel cell technology, and it was really new. Early movers, right? So limited literature, availability of material is a problem, components availability is a problem, lack of equipment is a problem, supply chain was not existing. So we are using this carbon fiber cylinders, very lightweight cylinders, looks like a plastic, where you fill in the hydrogen at 350 bars. 350 bars is a very, very, very high pressure, right? Today you can even go at 700 bars. So once we approached industrial gas company to help us fill this cylinder at their location. When they looked at this cylinder, they said, no, this is not possible. You have got a plastic cylinder and you want us to fill in hydrogen in it. So the perception of hydrogen, hydrogen handling, safety, hydrogen cylinder is seen as a bomb. So this is how we started.
That's actually interesting, and it's a good segue into my next question, Tejas. So, typically when you talk about innovations, there's the idea, of course, and then when bringing this idea into reality in terms of execution, you run into a lot of challenges. It could be technology-related challenges. It could be maybe challenges with respect to not having the right kind of competencies, etc. So maybe if you could highlight, what were the challenges that you faced in terms of seamless execution, and how did you go about overcoming these challenges?
Yeah. See, the challenges, like I mentioned, were about resources, getting the right resources, new technology, no prior experience available. Second one is supply chain. Third one is multidisciplinary resources requirements. So we had to think innovatively to get the right resources on boards. Another example was that we wanted to typically see, the electrodes used in a fuel cell are made of graphite. That was at that time, 2014-15 time frame. We wanted to develop electrode which is made out of steel, stainless steel. And the thickness of graphite was around 7 to 8 millimeters. That's pretty thick. Whereas a steel sheet was 100 micron. Yeah. So forming a steel 100 micron thick was another challenge. So no one was willing to even try. Yeah. So they could give us their equipment to use, but we had to try ourselves. So these were the starting problems that we had. But what we had done is that we had benchmarked. There were few competitors across. Toyota was there, Honda was there, a Canadian company into fuel cell was there, Ballard. And we had identified the key parameters for ourselves. And the parameters were in terms of efficiency, power density, cycle life, cost, availability or ability to manufacture using local ecosystem. So these were the parameters that we identified ourselves. We set the targets, what is it that we want to achieve, and we work towards achieving each of these parameters. And I think what was more important is that in a new technology development, you come across challenges. You spend so much of time only to realize later that after putting so much of time, efforts, and investments, that's not the right way. So you make a progress 10 steps, you need to go back 6 steps. Yeah. So the courage and the ability to pivot, even after investing a lot of time and efforts in an idea or the strategy, is extremely important. So yeah, so that's what we have been going through in this development process. Yeah.
Thanks, Tejas. So Jaisima, in your context, you built this innovation for a customer, right? And again, there are when you do this for a customer, it comes up with its own unique set of challenges in terms of what the customer thinks is the right approach versus what a Tech Mahindra might think is the right approach in doing some of these things. So how did you really go about, from an execution standpoint, how did you really go about collaborating with the customer? How did you go about ensuring that the customer aspirations are met at the same time? From a Tech Mahindra's perspective, what's best for the innovation was also articulated and was incorporated into the innovation. So your thoughts on that, Jaisima?
No, absolutely. So I think what you said is very true, especially for industrial companies, right? They They have been age-old companies. They have a well-set processes by which they run. And, but we have to do some challenge them, and also, do some change management when we're done. So there are two things. This is a phygital product, so the legacy way of doing it is mostly physical, right? It's electromechanical and electrical and mechanical, and electronics has permeated, but the phygital part, the experience defining a product is something that is catching up in the last 3 to 5 years. So the challenge for us is to come up with a development process that is lean and agile. So you have two streams of the development. One is a hardware. When I say hardware, it covers the complete mechanical, and still, your 70% of your bill of materials does consist of these physical components which needs to be manufactured. So the traditional stays, and it has its own cycle and steps, which is very standardized. Then you do have a significant amount of software element that is getting into the products more and more and more, and it has its own way. And then there is a new thing of model based systems engineering, where you actually try to simulate most of the your physical into digital world and try to cut down the product development process. So the space where we are in for our customer, I think time to market, speed to market is very important. And while you're addressing the speed to market with the product development process, you have to take care that the enough research has been done in terms of ethnographic study, right? Who are the end users, how much weight of the product they can, because it's a consumer product, and how do they operate and other stuff. So we have to merge both lean and agile principles into the this program, and design it in such a way that they will. And thankfully, I think the the process which we proposed has been accepted, because we had a fair degree of ownership in terms of delivering this as a joint co-innovation. So I think we the best thing what we did is we actually laid out the process and did and created a fail fast approach. So which actually struck chord with them, because finally they are able to see that this is meant for achieving the speed to market with enough checks and balances to iterate fast within the development process. So that's how we overcome that, and created that the mind share, and went through the program launch.
That was insightful, Narasimha. Shrikant, your thoughts in terms of how did you go about the execution?
Yeah.
What were the challenges, and what were some of the best practices?
Sure, Karan. So this is an in-house solution, auto recovery circuit breaker, what we have designed. So it was very important that we run this program in agile process, because from the innovation point of view, we should know at the early stage, is it the right innovation to take it forward or not, right? So is it feasible or that? So this complete progress, we didn't as similar to our customer project. We run an agile system. We had a demos, sprint demos to verify, is it a feasible or not feasible. The critical challenge came in, how do we integrate this circuit breaker in a medical product? Because medical product is already there, which is got certified from OEMs like GE, Philips, Siemens, or anything, right? And your circuit breaker has to go as an add-on to that, right? And that was a little challenges that we team faced. How do we integrate in the hospital? Where to put the circuit breaker? Because the multiple machines are being installed in the ICU. And how do we do this? And that was a real challenge for us. And thanks to even the biomedical team and our team, the cross collaborations, which has helped us to deploy and see that how do we put this breaker in especially in the operation theaters and post-recovery ward, so that any leakage which goes through via patient can be able to trip and safeguard the patient. So that was a key challenge, Karan.
So you bring up an interesting point and relates to the question that we've got from the audience, and I'll speak each of your perspectives on that. So there are, of course, many of these are successful innovations which have found context with your customers, or maybe a broader context as well. As organizations, I'm sure you would have dabbled with many things, many innovations, and many of them you evolve, and some of them you dissolve. how do you really take a call on what do you really take a pause on, and what do you pursue? So what are some of your check gates for that? So maybe Shrikant, you can go with it.
This is one question, Karan, that's what you want to answer. There was a question on how ARCB is different from...
I'll come to that.
Sure.
So maybe you can get started with your view on how do you really identify what to pursue and what not to pursue.
So basically, from the technology point of view, right, you have to basically decide that when to put a stop, how to have a check and balances in the project, and from the requirement to design to the prototype to the concept to design to manufacture and transfer. So we have a checkpoints to see that a feasibility check and as the return in, like, is it really worth doing from the patient safety and the comfort point of view. The checklist is what I think the very keep monitoring the process from each stages has helped us to able to see that either we are on the right track on the project or is it going differently. So we could able to track each system and each gates thoroughly, Karan.
Okay. It's just your thoughts, again, new concept, new idea. Some of them are successful, some of them not so successful. How do you make a call?
That's right. Yeah. I think it is important to benchmark the parameters, identify the key parameters, like I mentioned, efficiency, power, life cycle, cost, ability for local manufacturing. You work on developing a MVP, minimum viable product. Yeah, validate the product. If it works fine, you can continue with that. If it has any challenges, you fail fast, and change the course of direction and move ahead with the alternate approach. That's how we took, and there are several examples that we have gone through in the overall development process of around 7 years' time. We had to, there were certain strategies that we had thought initially would be unique, would save time and cost, improve efficiency. But then we realized only later on that this strategy has some other challenges that we did not foresee before. And we had to pivot back, change the strategy, again move forward. So I think developing a minimal viable concept or prototype, testing it, validating it. If it is not working, keep it aside, change the direction and move ahead. So that has been our approach, and that has helped us.
Sure.
Critical, I think, also like critical reviews on a weekly basis with the entire team members, resolve the bottlenecks, and provide course correction. I think that has helped us a lot.
Sure. And Jessima, coming to you again, because you spoke about innovation that was delivered in the customer context. Customer probably has a hypothesis of what is the right product, what is not the right product. And one of the things that we expect of the Indian ER&D service provider community is to actually drive a lot of consultative solutioning with the customer, right? How do you really, from a service provider standpoint too, right? So there are many innovations that the customers would have asked you to work on, but there are those that are feasible, viable, both from a technology standpoint, market standpoint. But how do you engage in a conversation with the customer to say that, hey, look, maybe this is not an innovation that probably needs to be pursued further, or there needs to be a pause on it. So thoughts on that, Jessima?
So there are two things. One, there is an open innovation that has been leaders are adapting. Karan, I think it's been going on for 7 to 8 years across the industrial companies as well. So that has actually opened up the minds of a lot of the leading. I would say there are still laggards like in every industry, but a lot of leading companies, they're adapting to open innovation where they are happy to co-create and cross-pollinate from industry to industry. So I would say it is a little bit easier these days to convince customers in terms of adoption, because they have seen businesses vanish overnight, who lagged in the innovation, who actually the production the protective way of looking at their business and IP is changing. So that's a good part of the story. But having said that, the way what we have done is in adapting, right? Obviously they know their business much closer than us, but then we bring the alternative thinking, the technology cross pollination from one industry to another is something they would gain. So it's a marriage of the two, best of two worlds is what our job is to convince them. And it actually starts with a bit of consulting, like you said. We actually consulted the CXO layers. We have built a niche team, over the last 4 or 5 years, who actually works a lot with the, VP of technology and, the CTO organizations and the consulting layer. And then it flows down. And, on a quarterly or a half-yearly basis, we actually do an innovation workshops with them. And also we created an ecosystem where they do a mind share with the the CXO layers from the alternative industry. So we actually created within our own community of customers, we created an open innovation framework, and they and then where they exchange notes. So this actually start has a trickle down effect in terms of the adapting and opening up their mind to new changes. So that's I would say those are the ones which actually helped us in bringing that mindset change to our customers. I would say, if you ask me this question 5 years before, it's a Herculean task to prove to a customer that why a solutions provider or a can innovate faster than themselves. But today, I don't think they have that mind block. They actually treat us with equal respect, and the equity is something which I see is shifting towards this part of the world.
Absolutely, Jaisama. So Shrikant, coming to the next theme of this discussion, how has this innovation really helped L&T Technology Services, right? Is this something, of course, is this something that's created some kind of a new competency for L&T Technology Services? Is this something where you've been able to create something as a proof for your other customers in the med devices space, right? So what's been the benefit of actually building this innovation? And at this juncture, I actually also want to bring up the question, which is, how is ARCB different from MCB and ELCB? What are some of the added advantages? And is this an innovation that could be extended into other target markets as well? So this is a context that I wanted to understand, to see what is the benefits of this innovation beyond what you have actually worked on.
Sure, Karan. I'll answer the question first. So the ELCB is basically measures milliampere of current, and where we are used in industrial products or even in the houses we can implement. MCB is commonly in the ampere current. But what we are talking ERCB is in microampere. So it is much accurate than what ELCB or the MCB we are talking. Coming to the innovation point of view, from the LTPS, this particular project, we have a patent file. And as a L&T, we encourage to have the collaborations. We conduct a called Tech GM, Tech Expressions, where we involve ideas from our own engineers to create in the abstract, and we evaluate the abstract. We do the POCs, then we validate the POCs, and then approve the concept. So this type of process is already established in L&T, where we have a CTO team. And we have a solution team where we can see that this type of innovation, how do we leverage the customer with respect to from the business point of view. And also there are some things which will also, we may not get a huge business volume point, but it will definitely help in getting the safety, increasing the safety of the patient. So as a L&T, we have a very good framework defined, and cross-pollination, like example, I can able to get a power electronics guy. As L&T, we work with even with the transport or the industrial products, right? I can able to leverage his expertise for developing something for medical. So these are the something where L&T has that brought the SME concept across different vertical, different domain, where we can cross leverage the skill set. And this particular innovation has definitely helped us because we have filed the patent, and I think we are the only unique where we are claiming that, at least according to my knowledge, that none of the medical product presently have this particular feature. So we are talking to the OEMs is to see that how we can able to incorporate ARCP to their products to enhance the patient safety. So that is how this innovation is quite important for us, Karan.
Sure. So Tejas, from your perspective, again, this is in the sweet spot of what KPIT is looking to do in the automotive segment. But if you could throw some more light on how it's benefited you as an organization, or maybe has it found context with some of your customers?
Right. So we built India's first hydrogen fuel cell technology ground up, right? Efficient, robust, cost competitive, even at lower volumes. So that has been the unique strength of our technology, unique thing about our technology. KPIT is perceived now as a leading system development and integration partner, helping our customers propel towards clean, smart, and safe future. We are now providing, apart from automotive, we are now providing full system solution for marine, for defense, and for power generation. We have demonstrated this technology in automotive in 2021, December 2021. This created a lot of interest, and we are now working with largest shipping company, Cochin Shipyard in India, to build a full solution, end-to-end solution, which includes electric powertrain right up to the fuel cell and hydrogen storage. And we are in the process of testing and delivering this system to them. We have developed hydrogen fuel cell based hybrid power system for defense application. We have delivered that. I think this adds a lot of value outside automotive, but in mobility space. Apart from that, with our insights and competencies in the technology, we are able to add a lot of value to our customers in their core technology. This gives an edge over the competition. So I think we see a lot of benefits in working on a cutting edge technologies, and we have been working in electric powertrain, hydrogen fuel cell, energy storage, sodium ion batteries, even hydrogen generation for past 14-15 years.
Wonderful. Jessima, from your perspective, how has this innovation really helped your organization? Has it opened up new avenues? Has it opened up new possibilities? Maybe just with the customer, maybe it's helped the customer itself open up new avenues. So maybe if you could highlight some of those, it'll be great.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest gain we got, Karan, both for this customer and also for the larger engineering community is building the leading the way in actually delivering a first to world and first to market kind of product with significant ownership and seamlessly bringing in the experiences, the intuitiveness of the that is required for a product, along with the traditional the engineering, and adapting the most advanced and optimal manufacturing methods. Because to bring a product and commercialize, this in a consumer space, you need to sell in volumes, you need to have a speed, and it needs to be very in line with the current. When I say current, what consumers mood and preferences change very, very fast. So the agility with which a product can be built and delivered with innovative features and with an USP, so that they can actually capture a market space, and whether we can lead that journey all the way from conceptualization to the commercialization, is where we were able to actually create a proof point. And today we are having conversations from Tech Mahindra side with a lot of customers, not only in the consumer space, but it's actually extends to other industries, right, where the similar skills, probably the product development life cycles could be slightly longer, but then the ability to actually merge the emerging technologies, the new digital technologies into the current products and make them very intuitive and useful for the next generation use, the business challenges, is something which is being heavily appreciated. We leverage our group company capabilities. Pininfarina is an world-class, the industrial design company from Italy, which does the ethnographic studies and conceptualization and bring that experience design on the software. We made acquisitions in the last 3-4 years looking at this trend. Born is a group that does within Tech Mahindra, who does that experience design on the digital part of it. And we have a core engineering, which is our mainstay for 25 years. And then we are actually now bringing the process, of marrying both. That's the experience we gained over working with 200, 300 of Fortune 500 customers, right? The cross-pollination of best practices and creating them a platform where they can innovate faster is where I would say we created a small niche for ourselves, mark for ourselves in the market, and that is helping us to scale faster.
Yes, Emma. So let's move to our final theme of our discussion today. And many of you briefly touched upon this earlier. The view is, of course, that these are not innovations that happen overnight. It's a part of institutionalization that happens over a period of time that enables organizations to drive these kind of innovations. So Thesis, let me begin with you. And in just about maybe 2 minutes, you can talk about what is it that KPIT has done uniquely different to be able to drive these kind of innovations as an organization. And as Tejas, of course, you respond to this question, I would also ask the audience, in your respective organizations, in the chat, you can actually type out what are some of the best practices as well. So Tejas, over to you to share your thoughts. And of course, the audience, please share your thoughts as well in the chat.
I think it is very important to have the innovation culture in the organization to enable the innovations. What's unique about us is that the innovation culture, the drive is from the top. I would say not just drive, but a restless drive from the top. That is extremely important. We spend 5 to 6% of our top line in R&D and innovation. We take up challenging problems, statements from our customers, very sharp focus on meeting key performance parameters. We encourage employees to file patents. We develop MVP to validate ideas, concepts, fail fast, move ahead. Yeah. So just to give an example about the drive from the top, right? So 2008, 2009, when we started working on, in fact, I started working on an electric powertrain. It was the first day where we wanted to validate our, I would say, the performance, the savings on a cases dyno at ARA. We tested it. We did not find the required result that we are seeing on the roads. So on that day, late at night at around 11 p.m. So I had a meeting with chairman. We spent 1 hour, 1.5 hours brainstorming things in a candlelit room. And next day morning, 8:30, we were doing the work and we could crack the problem. So that kind of commitment, that kind of drive from the top is extremely important. And that has helped us, right? For past 15 years, we have been coming up with several innovations in the automotive domain. I think it is going forward. It's important to support, nurture, mentor students in the STEM field and focus on the areas of mobility, energy, continue to invest in R&D, and we have very comprehensive framework to encourage innovation at all levels. We start from the school. We have a program called Chote Scientist, where we try to inculcate love for science through toys and fun experiments. We have KPIT Showed program, innovation context for undergraduate students in science and engineering space. We have something called as, that was KPIT Sparkle. KPIT Shows it for international PhD students. So these are the things that we do to make sure that we are inculcating the innovation culture at grassroots level and in the organization.
Perfect. So, Shrikant, I'll come over to you because this was also a question that was asked by one of the audience member. Of course, please talk about the uniqueness of L&T's innovation culture, and more importantly, what is it that L&T is doing to incubate young talent and have them, inculcate, imbibe an innovation mindset?
Sure. So I think as I conveyed, LNT has mainly made 6 big bets. The focus areas, what it means is one is on electric vehicles, second on next generation communication on the 5G, and digital manufacturing, and the medtech, and AI and digital products, and sustainability. There's a very clear theme has been set up by our CEO on the six bets. Mental innovation, I will strongly believe that there should be also freedom to fail, right? Because, right, Chandrayaan-2 didn't succeed, but we are just counting on Chandrayaan-3 getting landed safely. So there should be always the freedom to fail in the innovations, because all the ideas will not convert to the outcome. So we have seen that ideas where got failed, and only according to our at least experience, around 10% of ideas which will really make a viable product, less than 10%. So we encourage, as a LNT, we encourage to file a patent for all the young engineers. We collaborate them. We once the abstract is submission, example, we conduct the program as I conveyed, Tech GM, Tech Expressions, where we also call from the different colleges to involve in sending the ideas. We evaluate the ideas. We have a coaching session mentoring the students for developing the POCs, and then we do a co-author the patents. So we encourage the young mind to come up with an idea and give a proper channel for evaluation before we tell that, okay, this idea is feasible or not feasible. So LNT in that way, we have complete freedom to do innovate and help in growing help in solving the upcoming technologies issues. So, and just one point to add from the medtech, right? I think the most of the innovations you see, it happens in transport or a banking or a retail or thing, right? Medtech is the one segment where the innovation is governed by the regulation body. But today the things are changing in the medtech, AI becoming like more predominant in medtech for increasing the patient comfort and patient, helping a doctor for making the faster analysis. So we are, as a company, we're invested on the upcoming technologies like AI, data analytics to build a solution for future technologies.
Sure. Before I move on to you, Jaisima, I would like to post a poll for the audience. Avinash, if you could bring up the poll. Basically, we want to understand from your perspective, where do we, how has this session been helpful for you today? And how many of you seek to implement some of the best practices that you learned as a part of today's session? Avinash, if you could. Thank you so much. Jaisima, some thoughts from you on this.
Yeah. So how we foster an innovation culture in our organization. Tech Mahindra does have multi-tier, and I would break it into two things, right? It's all belongs to people are always key, but then it's also a process and also the infra that is available to nurture the ideas to reality. So one, the idea generation part, we do have our own internal platform called Iris, which actually crowdsources, and it can be actually selectively exposed to include customer organizations and the open innovation players as well. So, and then we have a framework of S3D. We scan the ideas, discriminate the ideas for prior art and all the violations, because that is extremely important when you build an the high quality innovative organization. Discover them, discriminate them, and then eventually qualify them and do a disclosure part. That's where actually the IP sees the day of the light. So that's a process by which we have been adapting for the last 6 to 7 years, which has been successful. And then we do have made investments. We have close to around 15 the innovation labs across the world. We call them Makers Lab. They focus on very futuristic things. Maybe how quantum computing can solve some today there's a data availability is heavy across industries, be it in the medtech, be it in terms of the oil and gas, or be it in terms of any, what do you leverage out of it is needs a lot of the high compute and the algorithm based processing. So we do have the SU experiment. We do have an special investment fund which experiments on all these. If you have been following, we are creating a large language model for India, the Indus project, equivalent of ChatGPT, which is Tech Mahindra's funding, and we created a Bharat markup language. So those are the things that comes out of our makers labs. And we also work for customers. We built something for the Indian defense in terms of the anti-mine operations, a small robot, right? So it saves lives. So these are the things that actually generates from these platforms, where our own employees of the 150,000 plus employees contribute. It goes through this S3D process and it gets funded through an entrepreneurship model. And like Srikanth said, the liberty to fail fast and fail and then is always there. And the ask is fail fast, because the money spent is wisely used for a larger number of ideas to see the day of light. So that's how we are positioned ourselves within the company. And I would say it is interesting that we have signed contracts with some customers to deliver patents, and it is a crazy in engineering, but it talks about the maturity the industry in the ER&D space as they evolved in India, right? As in especially from the service providers ecosystem. I'm very proud and happy to represent this community into the world, because in 2010-12, when a customer asked me, can you deliver a patent, because after you deliver this new idea, if it's not patented, I don't know whether I'll be able to create the competitive edge. I was tentative. In 2017, we actually signed a contract. The contract is only to deliver patents. There is nothing else. And we were successful in filing 7 patents for them. So, that talks about the, how we as an ER&D community evolved in this country. And, I have just thank all the people, who joined today, and, wish that, we'll have more and more success stories coming through the years.
Absolutely, Jaisima. I'm sure, as a community, we have made great strides. And if anything, today's discussion and some of the innovations that you've showcased, highlighted, is a testimony to the kind of evolution that we've gone through as an industry. So I would like to now take this opportunity to thank everybody who joined us today. Thanks for your time, and many of you joined us yesterday as well. For me, it indeed was a very insightful as well as a session where I learned a lot. Thank you so much, Jaisima, Srikanth, Thesis, for your time today. It indeed was interesting again. And thank you to the audience as well for joining us and spending an hour of your valuable time with us today.
Thank you. Thanks, Karan. And
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thank you, Karan. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much.